Hey, this is Chris Miles, the anti-financial advisor. I'm excited to teach you a cool little strategy today about getting your investment money to pay you twice. In other words, how do you get your money to double dip? And this is the cool thing. This is why investors love leverage. And I'm going to teach you a cool strategy to do that. So this one I'm going to definitely take some time to really get into, because if you understand how this concept works, this will blow your mind about just about everything when it comes to leverage and creating more wealth and cash flow faster. So I'm excited to share this with you really quick here. So I'm going to share my screen, let you take a look at this. And so, one thing I've learned is that it's not about working harder. It's about working. Now, you probably thought smarter, and that would be a smart answer to say, but that's not totally right. It's not about working harder. It's not always about working smarter. It's about working right. And I learned that back in my ballroom dancing days, right? During my ballroom dancing days, I learned all the moves I was supposed to learn. I was smart about it. I got the training and instruction I needed. I practiced it hard. I worked hard at it, but it wasn't enough to win. It wasn't until a teacher said, listen, Chris, until you do this right, that's when everything changes. And so that's when I realized, okay, it's about working right. And that's the thing with money. It's always about acceleration, not accumulation, right? It's about acceleration. We want cash flow now. We don't talk about how to let this money, grow and expand forever. It's about making money right now, right? And so that's what we do. And stewards win while spenders and savers lose. Spenders and savers live in this life of scarcity. There's never enough for them. But stewards look for a way to multiply and amplify what they have. They want to be the wisest with the resources they can and get it to work today. And guys like Dave Ramsey, they don't get it. The typical financial advisors, they never get this stuff, right? It's all about, saving and paying off debt and everything. And that's not the case. We're about leverage here. And I'll tell you, the strategy I'm about to teach you, banks already understand it. They've been using it for years. And all we're doing is just doing the same thing banks have done. Now, when it comes to money and investing, or anything for that matter, you have two options. You can either use cash, use your own cash savings, or you borrow it, right? Here's the thing, you're always paying interest, always. You always pay interest on your money. See, if you borrow it, of course you pay interest to a bank or whoever you borrow money from. But when you use cash, do you realize that you're still paying interest? Because now if you use cash to go and invest somewhere, well, now that cash is no longer earning interest in that place. Now it's earning interest or whatever it is they're doing over there. It's the same thing. If you buy, but it doesn't earn interest. It earns interest wherever it goes. It doesn't just stay in two places at once. But could it? This goes with financing cars, by the way. People pay cash for cars or whatever they try to do, or try to pay off their houses. The truth is that there's an opportunity cost to that money you're using. Could that cash be used somewhere else and making more money? And that is the key we're talking about here. So, give you an example. Here's a $300,000 mortgage, right? $300,000 mortgage. If it's at 4.25% over 30 years, you will pay, just paying the minimum payment, you will pay $231,000 of interest. Now, this is the thing that everybody fears of. From the saver perspective, not the steward perspective or the investor perspective. From a saver perspective, they fear this number. They think, oh my goodness, that's almost 2 mortgages right there. That's interest I'm paying. I got to pay this off as fast as possible. All the while, the banks are laughing and swimming in their little piles of money like Scrooge McDuck, right? For those of you who remember DuckTales. Anyways, so it's like $231,000 interest is what you pay. So that is the cost of your money. But what if you had $300,000 today? Your best bet, paying a little extra on your mortgage to pay it down doesn't save you that much interest in the grand scheme of things. It saves you thousands, but not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Your best bet, if I were to play devil's advocate against my point here, your best bet is to pay it off tomorrow and save yourself that $231,000 interest. So say that maybe between you have all these retirement accounts, you've been locking money away, and you're like, well, what if I cash these things out and whatever other assets I have, just scrimp together all the money I can to pay off this mortgage of $300,000. My best bet is I would save that $231,000 of interest, wouldn't I? And that's from all the mortgage payments and everything else. So what if you could scrape together all that money to pay off the mortgage? You could save $231,000 of interest for those 30 years of interest, right? But what if you took that $300,000 and saved it? What if you even just put it in a little CD, right? And say that CD maybe only paid you 2%. how much interest would you earn on that 300,000 after 30 years at 2%? So again, instead of taking this money to pay off the mortgage, you take it and you said, I'm going to trust that paying off my mortgage is not the best thing, but I'm not going to even make the same interest rate. I'm paying 4.25, but I'm only going to earn 2. Any guesses what you'd be earning in interest on 300,000 over 30 years? Here's the answer. Let's see. $243,000. Wait, 243,000 on 2%, only 2%? Now let's remember that last number here, right? That last number we had, I'm going back here, back, was 231,000. So wait, if 4.25% costs us 231,000, how is it possible that we, at only 2% of earning money, you earn 243,000? You beat it by 12,000 bucks. How does it even work? This is the key. Compound interest is not the same as simple interest. So think about when you save money, right? That interest, what happens to it over time? It grows and compounds, doesn't it? But with a loan, when you're paying principal and interest payments, what happens to the interest you're paying on every payment? It goes down, doesn't it? So there's a different relationship here. One, the interest grows because the balance grows, while the other one, the balance is shrinking, therefore the interest is shrinking. Now, it doesn't mean the interest rate is shrinking. It just means that the amount of interest you're paying because the balance is going down is different. They're two very different things. This blew my mind about 10 years ago when I learned it, because when I understood that now compound interest can actually beat simple interest, you don't even have to earn the same interest rate, it was a mind blower. You want to see something cool? Check this out. Watch. 4.25%. What if you earn the same interest rate? The interest earned. Now, by the way, I'm not counting principal in here at all. Like principal, I'm taking that off the table. Yes, you would have 300,000 plus 745,000 in this example. I'm taking that off the table. I'm just looking at the interest because that's the thing that moves. That's the thing that's costing us, right? So even if you earn the same interest rate, say you got a 4.25, say you got nowadays a good CD at 4.25%, you would have 745,000. Now remember, it would still cost you 231,000 because you're paying that in those mortgage payments over 30 years. That's the interest you've paid. So take out the 231,000, you still profited over $500,000, making the same interest. Now, if you're an investor, you know you can do way better than this, don't you? Let's look at this. 6% interest earned, 1.423 million. Just think 300,000 became over 1.4 million at only 6% in 30 years. 10%, you made almost 5 million. Now take out the 231,000, you still profited 4.7 million. 12%, you made almost 8.7 million. And then at 15%, you earn about 19.5 million. Now, of course, take away that piddly little 231,000 you paid on your mortgage, you're still left with about $19.25 million. Now, I know some of you guys, especially those who are investors, say, I can earn interest 15% day in and day out, year after year. And you're probably right. This is the thing. If you understand this, you'll understand, one, paying off your mortgage is not the best investment. Two, understand that interest rates are not the same. Compound interest and simple interest are different. And this is where the magic happens. This is how this applies to your Supercharge savings account, your life insurance, using a high cash value whole life policy. This is how it works. Now, I'm not talking about getting those policies that most financial advisors and insurance agents will talk about, which takes you years and years to grow, and then they tell you to access the money. I come to this from very much an investor or business owner perspective. I'm all about, how do I get cash today? How do I turn my cash into cash flow right now? And that is what we're talking about here. So instead of using a savings account, I just use my life insurance as a savings account to invest. And so I run the money through my policy. And then what I do is I take a loan from the insurance company. Now, here's the thing that's confusing. All these infinite banker people out there, they'll say, hey, well, you're just paying money back to yourself. Bull, you're not. You are paying money still. You're still paying interest to an institution. The insurance company just becomes the bank in this case. The difference is that this becomes like a home equity line of credit, like a HELOC, but it's paying you interest, right? So you're getting paid interest. Where a HELOC, you don't get paid any interest. You have to pay interest, right? This one actually still pays you. Now, I'm going to play, again, devil's advocate against my point of view, because I love to do that, because I love to prove my point right with conservative or less than conservative numbers, right? But here's the thing, I'm flowing the cash flow from the investments back into the policy. I'm using that to pay back towards the line of credit. So, example here, you have a single family home and a duplex. I was just trying to find some turnkeys that I had that one of my friends was offering. I was trying to get to close to 100,000 as possible for the down payments. Down payments on these two properties, these 3 doors essentially, is $95,000 down because you're basically buying about $500,000 worth of properties. The cash flow after property management fees and everything, the profit, the net cash flow, is $1,070 a month. So instead of just taking $95,000 out of my savings account and then taking that, and liquidating it, draining it out, which means I lose the compound interest in that savings account, and then trying to take the cash flow to replenish it, that $1,070 a month, which takes some time to build it back up. What if I could use the life insurance instead, where I borrow from the insurance company, they charge me an interest. By the way, let's just say they charge you 5% interest on that loan. Now, let's just assume, too, that you only get paid 4% interest. So now I know the insurance companies pay more than this. I'm just, again, playing devil's advocate against my point of view here. But say you're not even earning the same interest. You're paying 5% back to the insurance company. By the way, cool bonus here. The insurance company doesn't require any minimum monthly payments. They'll charge you interest, but you can pay it however, whenever you want. So whether this is a cash flow play or you're doing a play where it might take a year or 2 years to get your returns on your money, no problem. You can actually use this, the interest will compound or whatever, it'll grow a little bit, but then you can use this gains to pay it off. So in this example, all I'm doing is instead of using my savings account to drain the account, right, and then replenish with $1,070 a month to reinvest again, I'm just using my life insurance policy to essentially get a line of credit against that secured line of credit, right? And then, by the way, this is a private loan, does not show up in your credit score. Get this line of credit to then go and use to invest. And then the $1,070 a month, I go and apply back towards that line of credit. So what happens? Here's what happens. The net gain above and beyond what you would have earned with a savings account paying you 0.2% returns, right? Just using my whole life, even after 10 years, I make an extra 22.5% ROI or an extra $21,000 in interest alone, just using my life insurance instead of using my savings account. And this is, by the way, this is even with insurance costs coming out. So there's still a net gain above and beyond what I get from my savings account. So essentially, here's what happened. Depending on your age and all this kind of stuff, right? I mean, depending on the numbers and how they will work out, I can guarantee that I can make at least a good 2 to 3% average return every year above and beyond what I made in cash flow from that investment. So I'm creating massive leverage with this. This is where acceleration comes in, right? So I can make now money in 2 places at the same time. I'm making money in compound interest in the life insurance because the full amount is still growing compound interest when I take out that loan, right? So when I borrow that $95,000, say I had $200,000, well, I still have $200,000 growing and compounding tax-free. But that $95,000, I'm taking that cash flow, paying it back. Now the interest getting charged is going down. And by the way, that was at 4%, only earning 4%. I know some companies will pay you 4.35, 5 or more on that money, allowing you to even create greater leverage. So guys, that's the key here, is that we're able to double dip. We're able to make money in the insurance, in the whole life policy, and at the same time, you can make it with your investment. By the way, this can only work with whole life. If you try to use like index universal life, they don't allow you to do this double dip, this whole compound simple interest. They just credit you interest. So you get like this possible 0% loan, but you don't get any compounding interest on that money. It's just that money now is out of play. It's no longer working until you start paying it back, right? So it works just like a savings account. But in this case, you can actually get some extra leverage, get some extra 2 to 3% additional ROI on your money above and beyond what you're already earning on whatever investments you're doing. That's the power of it. This thing is like a freaking no-brainer. Like I even had a guy where he was putting away $500,000 a year into his whole life, and he took out the max policy loan the first year. He's like, I'm going to invest this. He's like, hey, Chris, since I'm taking this max loan out, what is this like a comparison to doing a savings account? Like, what would I have to earn in a savings account to match what I'm doing right now? So we ran the numbers. We calculated it out. In his case, especially because he's in a higher tax bracket, he would have to earn 5.5% a year in a savings account to match what we're already doing in the life insurance. Oh, and by the way, the bonus, you get a death benefit too. That's like a free bonus for you. Even though it's not free, but it is. It actually becomes better than using a savings account. So instead of trying to use your savings account to invest money now, instead, you actually have the option to use your life insurance to do the same stinking thing. That's how cool it is. So I know that you probably have questions. If you have questions, you can always shoot me an email, chris@moneyripples.com. You can help answer that. There's also, I have plenty of podcasts. By the way, follow my show, the Chris Miles Money Show. Check it out. There's also other videos here on YouTube you can check out on my channel. So subscribe here. Anyways, guys, I hope this is valuable. I hope this blew your mind. And if it didn't blow your mind, I hope it at least gave you something. So anyways, I hope you make massive leverage. I hope this helps. You make a great day. We'll see you later.